Good day, and welcome to our last lesson, lesson 23 in our study of the book of Daniel. We've come to the end of the story of Daniel, and this is really in some ways a summary of the entire book. If you recall, Daniel was taken as a captive from Jerusalem as a youth. He was taken to Babylon. He served there under Kings Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar, and then when the Persians took over under Darius, under Cyrus, he spent about 80 years, or 70 years probably, in captivity in Babylon. He never returned to Jerusalem, but he never lost his faith in God. He never lost his obedience to God. And he never lost his ability to do what he could for those he served, to serve those the best he could, and to maintain his own personal faith and demeanor. So we followed Daniel as a youth. We followed him now through the prophecies of Nebuchadnezzar, through the dreams of Nebuchadnezzar, through the promise of Belshazzar with the handwriting on the wall, through his prophecies. In this last prophecy, he has been standing on the Tigris River, and he's gone through this entire prophecy given by the angel Gabriel about the succession of kingdoms and the division of Alexander's kingdom into the north and the south, and the continued wars between the north and the south kings, and the ways that they battled back and forth and how they tried to influence each other. And down to the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, the last king mentioned, who became as a symbol of the Antichrist in the Old Testament. He's the one that stormed into Jerusalem and killed many of the Jewish people. He put up a statue of Zeus in the holy temple. He defiled it. It was called the abomination of desolation. And he was one of the most evil people who ever lived. And at the end of chapter 11, when the description of what Antiochus Epiphanes was doing and would do, and how this related again to what was going to happen to the Antichrist as revealed in Revelation. At the last of the chapter 11, it says, at that time of the end. So it reverts from the time of Antiochus to what would happen at the end of time, of Earth's time, and how this would spell out in the prophecy and in real life as Daniel relates it. And it shows how the last great war would take place between the kings of the north and the south and the king of Jerusalem, and how the king eventually would be defeated by God himself. So now we start chapter 12, and it says, at that time, at the same time as it's referring to the time of the end, it says, Michael shall stand up. Now Michael is one of the major angels of God. He's called the archangel in Jude. He's called the angel who fights with Satan in the book of Revelation. He's also called the defender of the state of Israel. So it says, Michael shall stand up, the great prince who stands watch over the sons of your people, over the people of Israel, over the people of Judah. He says this great angel will stand up and defeat Satan for the last time. He will throw him out of heaven. And when that happens, as reported in the book of Revelation, then there shall be a time of trouble on earth, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that time. So he was saying all the times of trouble that Jerusalem and the Israeli people have seen throughout their history, the times of prosperity and the times of defeat, the times of wardom, the times of all the difficulties that they have gone through. At the end time, at the time when the world, the earth as we know it, is coming to an end, then there's going to be a time of trouble such as never has been before. And this is really outlined further in the book of Revelation, but here is meant to give Daniel, as the angel was related to Daniel, it was meant to give him an idea of what kind of problems was going to befall the Jewish people. And it says, as never was since there was a nation, never since there was a nation of Israel or Judea, even to that time, and at that time your people shall be delivered. So when it comes down to the time of this trouble, when it comes down to the time when everything is going to be about as desolate and devastating as it can get, God did not forget his Jewish people, the people of Israel. And he says, at that time, the remnant of your people shall be delivered. Everyone who is found written in the book of deliverance. Now there is a book called the Book of Life, and the question is whether everyone is written in that book at the time of their conception, or whether people are written in that book as time goes on. But regardless, it says everyone whose name is written in that book at the time of their deliverance, the time this epoch of trouble is over. Everyone who is found written in the book, everyone who is written in that book, the people shall be delivered. Many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. Those who have died already shall awake, some to everlasting life. Those who have accepted Christ, those who have followed his precepts, those who have followed the rules and the regulations of God to the best of their ability, those who have followed Christ, some will awake to everlasting life. Those who have rejected God and those who have rejected Christ, says some will awake to shame and everlasting contempt. So there's obviously going to be a resurrection. It may not all occur at the same time. In fact, it says the first group may arise first. The second group, according to Revelation, will arise 1,000 years later. But all will arise. Some to everlasting life, some to everlasting shame and contempt. Those who are wise, those who teach, those who help others, those who help and contribute others to coming into God's kingdom. Those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the firmament, and those who turn many to righteousness, those who are sort of like evangelists, those who are large teachers, those who do a lot of good, a lot of teaching, is that will shine like the stars forever and ever. So what he's saying is those people who lead others to God, who help others to understand the truth, to help others to understand the gospel, may shine like stars. Those who are wise will both shine like stars or will be like the brightness of the firmament. There's a special place for some people like that who do these things. So we are all meant to be teachers. We are all meant to be purveyors of the word, of the gospel. And this is really what this is referring to. Those who do that will become brightness in the firmament and shine like stars. So this is the end of the prophecies. There will be a war. There will be a great battle. There will be a lot of death, a lot of destruction, a lot of weeping, a lot of gnashing of teeth. There will be a lot of difficulty. And this is what it says, when this happens, there will be a remnant of the people of Israel saved and the people of the world saved, who then will go on to everlasting life. Those who died and were not followers of Christ or of God, to everlasting shame and contempt. This is the end of the prophecy. This is the fact that God has never forgotten his people in Israel, in Judea. He's never really has gotten away from them, although it seems at times that he has left them to themselves to allow them to show how they cannot get along without him for very long, without death, destruction, and dismay. Now this is not just in this book that this happens. This warning is given in other books of the Bible as well. In Zechariah it says, I will gather all the nations to battle against Jerusalem. The city shall be taken, the houses rifled, and the women ravished. Half of the city shall go into captivity. Zechariah 14:2. And Jeremiah said, we have heard a voice of assembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask now and see whether a man is ever in labor with child. So why do I see every man with his hands in his loins like a woman in labor, and all faces turn pale? For that day is great, so that none is like it, and it is the time of Jacob's trouble. Matthew, it said, Christ himself put these words, then there will be a great tribulation, such as never has not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. For those who are followers of Christ, those days will be shortened. So the world is heading at some time in the future to some great cataclysmic event, which will be a destructive force for the entire world. And if you look at the world events right now, it's not hard to see how that could be coming, probably sooner than we all want to think. So this is the end of Daniel's prophecy, that this would all end in a great world war, that only a few of the elect will be saved. Those who have already died will arise, those who have been followers of Christ to everlasting life, those who have not been followers of Christ to everlasting shame and contempt. So Daniel was then finished with the prophecy, and it says that he found himself back on the same riverbank. And now there were two other people with him, as well as Gabriel, apparently one on each side of the riverbank. And one of these beings, which were further angels apparently, one said to the man clothed in linen. Now the man clothed in linen was the one we saw back at the very first of this prophecy in chapter 10. A man clothed in linen who was now above the waters of the river. He said, how long shall the fulfillment of these wonders be? And Gabriel the angel, who stood there in the middle of the river, apparently rose, put both arms up to heaven in a sign of great humility and in a sign of oath, and a great oath when you have both arms lifted up. He said, he swore, and his left hand he swore by him who lives forever, which will be God, that it shall be for a time, times, and half a time. A time is considered to be a year. Times is considered to be 2 years, and half a year, of course, is 6 months, half a time. It says, this will be the time. It will be for a time, a times, and half a time. And it says, when the power of the holy people has been completely shattered, all these things shall be finished. So all this devastation, all this activity, this war, this turmoil and trouble will go on until the pride and the independency of the Jewish people especially, but of the God's people will be completely gone. There'll be no more independency. There'll be no more arguing against what God wants. There'll be no more disagreements with what God has said. When all this independence, when the power of the holy people, the power of Israel, the power of those people who have followed Christ and who wish to follow Christ, who don't follow Christ, when the power of all these people has been completely gone, they are down to the last helpless element. Then these things shall be finished, because then God will have the full control. And then Daniel said something which makes the rest of us, or should make the rest of us feel somewhat somewhat better, because he said, I did not understand. I did not understand. This is difficult. This is a difficult prophecy to talk about. It's a difficult subject to speak about. It's hard to be understanding how everything that the angel said to Daniel back 500 years or so before Christ could have come true up to the time of Christ, and then far into the future by the Antichrist. I do not understand, he says. He said, what shall be the end of these things? Now the angel asked Gabriel when would be the end of these things. Daniel asked what would be the end. And the angel said, Daniel, go your way. Do things, go and do what you normally do. These words are closed up. These words are taken and sealed until the end of the time of the end. They are not for your knowledge now. They are for the knowledge of people in the future, far in the future from you. So do not be concerned. Just go your own way. The words are closed up and sealed. And he said that many shall be purified, made white and refined, that the wicked shall do wickedly. Those who want to do good, those who want to be on the side of God, will be refined, will be made white, will be purified. And those who want to do wicked will continue to do wicked. And because they want to do wicked, they won't listen and they will not understand. They will not understand what these words mean. They will not care to understand. So those who are wicked will continue to be wicked. They will not understand. But those who want to follow God will be purified, will be refined, and they will understand what all of this is about. From the time that the daily sacrifice is taken away and the abomination of desolation is set up by the Antichrist. No, we don't do sacrifices anymore in that same respect. So I presume this refers to the present type of worship. When the present type of worship is taken away and the abomination of desolation is set up, when false gods are put up in the place of God, in our holy places, there shall be 1,290 days. When this happens, there shall then be 1,290 days. Blessed is he who waits, who survives that time, who goes through that time, and comes to the 1,335 days. But you go your way till the end, for you shall rest and arise to your inheritance at the end of time. He said, from the time that this statue, the time when God is replaced in the holy places by what he calls the abomination of desolation, from that time there will be 1,290 days. Those who go through that without wavering will be blessed. And then they come to the 1,335 days. There's a difference there of days, which no one really understands completely, but many say it seems to be the time when God will be putting his own government in place. We don't really know. But there is a time that's going to come when those people who go through this period of desolation, go through this period of trial and turmoil, go through this period of horror, they will come to the place where then they will be rescued, and then God himself will be in control. As it says, he'll be in charge for 1,000-year millennium. Daniel was told to go his way and not to concern himself. Is to accept the fact that what he knows, what he doesn't know, he will find out in due time. Go your way, and you will arise to your inheritance at the end of the days, and hopefully we can all say the same thing, or understand the same thing, that we will arise to an inheritance at the end of days. So this ends the book of Daniel. And I hope that's been of information and some benefit to some people. It's a difficult book to do because of the difficulty in the prophecies and relating the prophecies to present time. But Daniel himself said he didn't understand it, so that should make the rest of us feel a little better. I want to mention that I have used a number of resources for this series, particularly Dr. David Jeremiah's book called Babylon is on the Rise and Agents of Babylon, and his study series for Daniel, and also Phil Collins' books, The Straight to the Heart of Daniel and Esther, as well as David Guzak's commentaries, Chuck Smith's commentaries, other commentaries on Bible Hub as well, and Matthew Henry's commentaries on this book. And as I said, it's a difficult book to be on, but it also has a lot of interesting and very important information in it. So I hope this has been of some benefit, and thanks again for watching. We hope to get on the next week or so to another book in the Bible, maybe Thessalonians, and we'll hopefully see you back for that. In the meantime, thanks for watching again, and bye for now.